teen girls would often go on the site and be fed images of beautiful, thin, athletic women and really develop some body issues from that. In fact, some of them were even reporting suicidal thoughts that could be traced back to Instagram. And what was worse is just Facebook knew about this. They downplayed it. And when they went to speak publicly about it, they really said it wasn't much of an issue. And all this is going on while Facebook is trying to roll out something called Instagram for Kids, which a lot of child advocates were like, this is a terrible idea. And right now, Facebook has paused it, but they say they do plan on still releasing it.
This has, as we said, prompted a lot of intense criticism. Is it just going toward Facebook and Instagram, or are there other targets as well?
They're looking at a lot of different social media platforms. In fact, recently, Congress had the CEOs from Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube all up on Capitol Hill, which is slightly interesting because when I think about social media, those platforms, although social, tend to be more about creating content and consuming it rather than checking up with your friends. That being said, YouTube has for years had something called YouTube for Kids, which is supposed to be kid-friendly videos only, but there has been a lot of reporting about some very inappropriate content showing up in YouTube for Kids. And then TikTok is renowned for how incredibly powerful their algorithms, the machine learning that decides what to feed us, what we're watching. And as one data scientist said, it is incredible at exposing our vulnerabilities. So it's not just about serving us up funny videos that we're going to enjoy. It actually understands what makes us tick and shows us videos that we may not enjoy and may be harmful to ourselves, but we can't stop watching.
These social media platforms are obviously very skilled at targeting and engaging children and teenagers. Why are they so interested in that audience?
Well, like a lot of businesses out there, they're looking for that lifetime loyalty. So they continue to go after younger and younger users. And in fact, one of the more chilling quotes that I saw when I was doing my research is that one of the Instagram scientists was saying, we're bringing up this research, this internal research, but unfortunately, no one's paying attention because we're getting in between the people and their bonuses. So there's a financial incentive to keep on going after teens and kids on these platforms.
But it's interesting because there's the focus on the teenagers and the children, but it affects all age groups when they're targeted, right?
Well, it affects all of us, no doubt. We're all under the influence of algorithms, but teens and kids are heavily influenced. Adolescence is a time in everybody's life where we're trying to figure out who we are, and we're looking, especially these days, looking online to see what other people are doing to kind of compare ourselves to them. And that's not necessarily always bad, but the way that these algorithms feed on that, it can have some really destructive and toxic outcomes.
So here's a big question. What can parents do to monitor without being too heavy-handed to look out for what their kids are engaged in?
Yeah, so when it comes to parenting, I only have 2 data points, my daughters, Maya and Sophie. So I actually turned to my dad, who's a clinical psychologist, focused on child psychology. You had him on the show. And one of the things that he said is, of course, every kid is different. But for really young kids, say 4 to 8, maybe you don't let them on any of these social channels and you don't let them watch these videos. And that's totally within your rights. As they start to graduate out of that age group, then it might be more about setting limits around some of these behaviors, just like we would with anything else to show them that we love and care about them. As they start to morph into their teenage years, we all know that if you say you can't do something, we just want to do it more. So that's probably going to backfire. Instead, you might start engaging your kids about using their critical thinking. And what are they being fed on these social channels? And how does it make them feel? And who's saying it? Maybe what's the agenda behind what they're saying? These are all important questions to get kids to start, teens to start asking while they're watching this content. And to also be very open and let them know that if there's any question on anything they see or anything, that they can always come to you and talk to you and have an open dialogue about it, because that's incredibly important too, because they're likely going to see things that they haven't seen locally or that they haven't seen before. And it's important that they can discuss this with you without feeling judged.